So a lot of people make these lists and these videos, including me, I've done it before, about what you shouldn't do, what you should avoid at all costs when buying perfumes. So now that you know what you shouldn't do, most likely, what should you do when buying perfumes? What do you have to go after and keep focused on? So I'm going to cover that in this video because there are some very important tips that you can use when buying perfumes. So the first one that I found to be very useful to me, and I'm sure to other people, always start with samples. Because suppose you are very, very interested in a perfume, obviously, but the whole bottle is $100 or $90, whatever, how much the bottle is, the full bottle. You don't know if you're gonna like it. You might read the scent list and you might see the notes that you like usually. But when you get the bottle, you might discover, I can't stand this. I gotta get rid of this, and I wasted $90. So you don't want to have that experience because it's very unpleasant. So a good option around that is to get samples. And if you watched any of my videos, you will see that I have an unusually large number of samples. In fact, this whole box is full of samples. So you don't need to get whole bottles. I do have a few whole bottles. They're on that shelf. You can't see them at the moment, but they're on that shelf. I have about 5 full bottles. But I always start with samples because I never know if I'm going to like something or not. I know that I like musk, I like, amber, whatever, vanilla, but even if all those notes are in a fragrance, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like this finished product. And I don't want to waste money like that. It's much, much easier and more relaxing to get a sample, see if you like it, and then if you do like it, of course you can get the full bottle and then you won't have any regrets. So especially I would recommend doing this for very expensive designer fragrances because those can be $100, $200, and you don't want to waste money. So the next thing is do your research. Figure out what kind of notes that you prefer. If you don't have a lot of experience around perfume, you might not really know the difference between certain notes or which notes you enjoy the most. For a long time, I thought I liked floral perfumes and disliked musk perfumes. And I suppose that's because I really didn't have much experience around any perfumes until I started getting these samples, and I realized, well, I guess these florals, I don't like them as much as I thought, and I actually prefer the musk more. So you really have to give yourself the opportunity to kind of experiment with different types of fragrances. Don't just stick to one category thinking that that's what you like, because you might like something else entirely. So if you do a bit of experimentation, you'll eventually determine which categories, which notes you like the best. Then you could weed out to the ones that you know you can't stand. So it'll make it much, much easier to actually buy perfumes that you like when it's time to buy something. And again, you won't waste money, you won't waste time, and you won't waste your energy. Then you have to also, another thing, rein in your kind of hype or your extreme desire to buy another perfume. Because buying perfume is very much like becoming addicted to this kind of collection. You get one perfume and you love it so much that you want to get another one, and then you get another one, and then it's this endless loop. Then you have too many perfumes and you don't know what to do with them. So it's a good idea to control yourself, first of all, rein in your perfume desires, and kind of think of, maybe slow down, don't buy too many things too fast, because that's a very, very easy thing to do. You walk into a perfume store and you see a whole shelf full of perfumes, and you realize, well, I might as well just buy a bunch of them while I'm here. But that's not always the best decision. You'll probably go home and be like, why did I buy that? I didn't need that. But, perfume bottles are designed to be as visually appealing as possible to get themselves sold. So don't fall into that trap. Just kind of figure out what you want, what you need, and then just walk away with a few nice bottles or a few nice samples, and don't destroy your wallet. So then another good thing to kind of consider is your first impressions. The thing is, first impressions can be very misleading. So you should take into account your first impressions, but don't necessarily make your final decision based off of them. So for example, when you go to the mall and you go to the perfumer's desk and they give you this sample, you might immediately think that this is the perfect perfume for you. It's everything that you've ever wanted. But take that first impression with a grain of salt, because you may indeed enjoy that fragrance, but you know, as the fragrance evolves on your skin, it might change into something that you're not crazy about as you thought you were. So for the best results, use your first impression and then contrast it with later judgment. And then that's how you can make the best decision, because you're not just acting off of this very kind of shallow level first impression, but you have 2 layers to work off of to make a good decision. So that's pretty much all I have to say about what you should absolutely do before buying any fragrances, because if you use these tips, you'll have a much easier, much better time buying fragrances. You'll encounter fewer problems, and the whole process will just be a lot more enjoyable. And you probably won't lose as much money. So that's all I have to say about that. If you have any opinions about buying fragrances, you can leave those down in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.